stupid. Oh. Why do I keep doing this? I was playing around with 5.7. They have a procedural vegetation editor now. I know, it looks pretty sick. It looks pretty sick. I would love to try it out myself at some point, but I'm probably not going to be switching to 5.7 until 5.7.1. Just to be safe. I don't want to move my production to 5.7 just yet. This retargeter, I gotta say, while the setup is a little bit longer, like with the IK stuff, it is pretty incredible what you can do versus UE4 retargeting. UE4 retargeting was a fucking headache. It took months of just like fucking around with it from time to time to figure out how to like get it to properly work. This, I gotta say, pretty incredible. And it's one of those features that like, as long as you bake it, I know there's a way of doing like automatic retargeting like in runtime. I would not do that personally. This is one of those things that you just bake. So it's one of those tools that has necessarily no impact on the end user, right? It's like just the developer is able to make use of it, which I think is great. So it's like there's no performance impact. It's about you being able to use, you know, the tool. It's a nice tool, you know what I mean? I don't know how else to say this. You know what I mean? You catch what I'm putting down? Okay, so now what we can do, if I remember correctly how to do this, we can take the entire old animation blueprint and retarget it entirely to the V2 version. With our retargeter. Cool. So we're going to export the entire animation blueprint. Oh, I can select multiple things. Oh, that's fucking sick. And then we can go ahead and export it to characters, grunt v2, export. Now, I don't know what it's going to look like with the sword in his hand. I also don't know if we have the socket. I think there's a socket we need for this. There is no socket. We just directly attached the sword to his hand. We just made him firmly grasp it. Here, just firmly grasp this. 100%. You know what, Bane? How's it going? At the moment, it relies on branch/trunk data from Houdini. Wait, so do you need to use Houdini to use the vegetation editor? Or is it just as in like they're using data that they exported from Houdini to get things going in the VGE? In the VGE, the vegetation generator editor, the vegetation generator editor. The PVE, the procedural vegetation editor. Just glue it in his stump. Oh, don't you worry. We're going to glue it in his stump. Okay, so now what we can do is go to the grunt. Give him his V2 animation skeleton. There we go. Then we slap this in his hand. And then we tell him, hey, firmly grasp this. But like firmly. Like grasp it. In a little stubby hand or whatever. Okay, and let's see if we fucked him up at all. Hey, let's go! They're using data they exported from Houdini and each plant type they give, but they plan to improve it. Ah, okay. So you're kind of limited to the stuff that they have in there. Right. Yeah. Not like Speed Tree yet. Yeah, whereas Speed Tree, you can kind of just do your own thing, whatever you want to do, like a bush or whatever. Okay, okay. But still very cool. It's a cool start. And I'm glad that they made it so it's not just skeletal meshes. You can also export static meshes. So you could, in theory, you don't have to use Nanite or anything to use that tool, right? Or do you need Nanite enabled? Can you just literally use that tool to just make trees, procedural trees, without utilizing any of the, like, Nanite features? It seems that they've designed it in such a way where you can use it without any of the Nanite stuff. What are we working on today? I want to add some more enemies in, so we have to fix the grunt because I'm going to use the grunt as a base. To make some enemies that like block and whatnot. Okay, cool. He's working. He does not have a physics asset though, and because he does not have a physics asset, I cannot damage him. So brother, what's wrong with his clavicle? Let's try that again. I don't remember. Do we need clavicle bones? Ah, fuck it. How do you look? Yeah, you know, you could probably look better. I will admit, you could look a little better. We're gonna go ahead and modify you a little bit. I forget if I can just mirror this shit. Mirror. 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 Ah, yes! Yes, very good. Clavicle looking a little interesting. I don't know if we need a clavicle bone. Can I enable any nanite mesh? Very sick. Very sick. Yeah, cool, man. Oh, oh. Okay, now we should be able to attack the grunt again. See, now that he has a pelt... Goodbye, friend! Goodbye! Whoop! His physics actually looks so much better. Look at the way he, like, reacts to hits. Why am I lagging? Is it because I have an editor open in the background? I have two windows open. Oh, I have the retarget animations window open. Error. There we go. Idiot. Whoa. I need your health. Thank you. Okay. You see how much impact that made? Just like hitting him feels so much more impactful because we just fixed his skeleton. At the moment, they're exporting the trees as nanite skeletal meshes to animate the branches individually as the default setting, but I wonder if that's bad for performance. I have no idea how they're doing that. I'm going to be completely honest. I think that was the thing that was kind of baffling. I mean, I was like, how are they maybe, you know how they're doing that whole thing with like crowds and whatnot? I wonder if they're using those skeletal mesh stuff for that. Like they're doing the whole crowd system stuff and they're utilizing that. Or if the skeleton is not actually being used as a skeletal mesh, or if it's just being used as like data to be able to do wind and whatnot. I wonder. I don't know. I have no idea. I wondered about that too. I was like, what is the performance impact of this? I guess the only way is to just try it out. See it. Put it in a game. Package it, and that's the best way of figuring it out, I guess. Okay, the grunt feels good. He actually feels great. Feels better than original, which is sick. We just need to make it so he's not using the right bone, the right bones right now. So his active ragdoll root bone is going to be pelvis, I believe. And bone to simulate is we're probably going to keep it at spine 01. So now that, yeah, this is all going to work properly now. Or it should. Let me try kicking him. Spider. Okay, there we go. I want to see, can you punch this guy? Nope. 2 punches kills him. He just he gets kind of he gets a little goofy with it. You see how he's getting hit? I'll leave that in. Yeah, fuck it. You know, whatever. Maybe nanite skeletal mesh is really optimized now? I have no idea, dude. I'm not that smart. I don't know how they do any of that stuff. I'm not gonna act like fucking John Nanite. I should make it so they stop glowing when they die, if they do get accidentally killed. Let's see here. He's vulnerable. Placing nanite instances of the bone location, simple transforms. I don't know if I'd say it's simple transforms, man. I don't know if I'd say that any of that is simple. I don't know. At least for my skill level, I don't know if I would say simple. Okay, so let me try accidentally killing him. Okay, stop turning green, which is good. The game is starting to feel like a game. I think controlling the spawning, the flow of spawning is going to be a big part of all of this. because it does get a bit overwhelming. Game dev is super simple. What do you mean? Yeah. You just gotta plug into the matrix. There's a heap. I love how they just pop into confetti. It is simple. It's engine coder math, a bone matrix. I don't know if I would boil that entire nanite system down to just saying, it's just a bunch of, you know, bone transform math. Because if it was that simple, I feel like we would have had way better looking trees a lot sooner. Okay. Hey, Zahib. Next step of the puzzle. We fixed his skeleton. It feels great. It's already like an instant like improvement. We need the other enemies. You gotta learn to use the math. I think the thing is that I'm just trying to say, Glitch, is I think you're oversimplifying what they were able to, I guess, accomplish with the whole vegetation stuff. Like, I don't, like, obviously, this is coming from someone who doesn't do engine code, but I'm sure under the hood, there's a lot of like complex stuff going on that I think is beyond just bone matrix transforms, whatever the fuck. Range enemies do not cancel attacks when getting hit by any attacks. Okay, let's do a test. We're going to go into the enemy manager spawner, which is kind of like how we manage the game space. We're going to make it so only 10 enemies can be spawned at a time, and then we're going to make it so our enemy list has the ranged enemies again. So flying ball and mage. Let's see how chaotic it gets. Oh, wait. The flying balls can also be weakened. And also, there are green circles right there. Oh, it's kind of funny. You can one-hit the mage and the thing, though, with your sword, though, which is kind of neat. Wait, how did we one-hit the mage there? You know what I think it is? I hate the fucking projectile sound and the attenuation radius. It just, everything becomes so overwhelming. It's the one thing I'm really just not liking. So I'm going to change the radius a lot. I'm going to do 250 with 250 with 1200. $250 with 1200. We need to do the same thing to the other one. In fact, the other one isn't as powerful, so honestly, it should have like a even lower range. So let's do 1000 with a 200 range. And I'm curious how overwhelming that feels. Get a Balbert. We need to fix the the green ball appears underneath them rather than above them. I think I should be able to just go in to their blueprint and just modify that by hand. I don't know if that counted. I actually think they died to the spider. Flying? Wow! I think changing the damage numbers helped quite a bit. And changing the attenuation of those projectiles helped a lot as well. They're not as fucking overwhelmingly annoying. Okay, let me fix the thing. Why would you ever throw a punch if you have a sword? It's like it's a faster attack, I guess. Why do you eat with a fork if you have your hands? No, I want to make the melee attacks a little bit more impactful. The strong kick staggers enemies, like they literally fall over. But the strong punch, I do want to do a little bit more, I do want to do a little bit more with it. Obviously right now, though, it does allow you to execute an enemy. Or yeah. Get the health from them. In this case, you use your hands to gain the health. Because otherwise, if you just kill them with your sword, it's like you're overkilling them, I guess. Yeah, we have the whole kick thing as well for kicking. It's a little broken for certain enemies because they don't have a proper bone setup. But we can make them fall over like this guy, and then he can stand back up. By just T-posing back up. Yeah, there we go. God, the sound effects they play still fucking sucks. God, it is so awful. It's actually like, it gets to a point where the sound effects are almost like, just causes so much ear fatigue. Fireball cast. They're using the impact attenuation. can I, what's the radius of that? 500 and 2500. Let's say 300 and 1500. I guess 1750. And that should be fine. I also think it'd be interesting if there was occlusion. I don't know how expensive occlusion is though, but let's try it out. Then we can change the low pass frequency to 2500. Okay. Should make the sound a lot less annoying. Let's see. I love how you can fly by slicing enemies from above. There's some, you know what? It's our own little unique mechanic. Dude, I can't. Anytime I put my mouse too low in the taskbar, fucks everything up, man. So I do think if an enemy takes damage, like a ranged enemy, they should probably cancel their attack. I don't actually know if we have some code to cancel their attack. I actually don't know if we have anything to cancel their attack. I don't know if their attack can be canceled, so we need to probably change that first and foremost. Secondly, I need to move this health sphere. There we go. Cool. I'm going to do something. The gremlin has a very specific health count that does not allow you to melee attack him. So let me try setting his health to 9, and I'm going to try punching him twice to see if I can get him to allow us to get health from him. For some reason, I don't think I can... I think punching them is not working. That's probably why. We're not feeding the attack type. We weren't feeding the attack type. Did I forget to do that on the mage as well? Let me double check. Nope, we got that. I think you do need nanite for the foliage system because you use the new nanite assembly system to put instances of nanite meshes together. So nanite is needed after all. I guess what you could do is have one project for assembling trees together as static meshes if you wanted to, and then export them to a non-nanite project if you wanted to. That could probably be a workflow if you wanted to utilize everything within Unreal. Or I don't know if you could just export when you package. I don't know if you could just turn off nanite. I'm sure it's probably fine if you were to do that though. Alright, I need to test the gremlin. Nope, still not enough. How much damage do I deal when I punch? That actually should be a good question I ask. Because then that would determine what health I need to give them. Let's try 10. Let's try 10 health. I don't think you can bake them into non-nanite trees. There's got to be a way if you can export them as a static mesh, right? We would just use it as a fallback. If you just do the static mesh, right? Okay, the spider needs to stop dealing damage to the other enemies. Also, when they cast, they also play a sound that's really fucking loud. Or not cast, when they launch the attack. I think that's being called from the actual enemy themselves. Yep. Okay, better. Better. Static mesh nanite assemblies. Oh, shit. It's a different object? Is it a completely different object type? Not just a static mesh, but like a nanite? Can you do static mesh but without the assembly stuff? Because I'm pretty sure you can set the assembly type, can't you? Like it's like voxel or whatever. There's like, I remember there is a drop down, but I don't know if that changes the object type. I have not opened that window at all to work on that thing, so. Honestly, for now, that sound effect is fine. Mainly because it's not as annoying. There's a setting to disable nanite assemblies. Ah, alright, well there you go. So there is a way of using it without, for a non-nanite project, but you just need nanite enabled to use the tool, I'm guessing. Cool. Well, that's great. That means people that want to create like procedural vegetation without using speed tree or maybe any tools in Blender, even though the thing is you're still gonna have to use Blender to create some of those trees. Like you still need branches and shit like that. You're still gonna have to, not like you can suddenly just use that. So I'm sure in that respect speed tree is still very much a damn it, man, I can't. They're making a movie about how they managed to make the movie Rocky. It's about the early lives of Stallone who struggled to make Rocky. It sounds like a good movie. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember watching Rocky. I'm sure my parents showed it to me when I was a kid, I'm sure it was played. I just don't remember any of it. I gotta rewatch it. Okay. You can use their leaves, but they're full geometry for nanite. Yeah, probably not. Yeah. You know, probably. Yeah, probably not a good idea. You know, probably not the best of ideas, one could say, for a non-nanite project. Okay, what do we need next? We fix this guy's rig. Great. Oh yeah, with the poppers. I don't think I'm going to enable the poppers for this playtest, to be honest. Maybe I will, but they'll be like far and few between. Like I don't think their spawn chance is going to be very high. Yeah, how you doing, Janko? You guys want to work on the other game? I know I shouldn't because we got 6 days left on the clock, but you know something I want to do? Work on my game? How much you gonna pay me? You should consider starting YouTube. The YouTube stream is live. What do you mean? Create the new project. I have it already created. I got VoIP in. I've started exporting builds to Steam already. I was finally able to get the voice input device working. Not you know your plays? What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, sorry. I see what you mean, Candy. Man, motherfucker, how about you at the person that you're talking to? I don't know. How do you want me to know? How do you want me to know? Yeah, so I got VoIP in. I don't know if it works yet. I have to do a test with someone. I also have to test if sessions work. But I need to get started on working on like the interaction system and the item system. All of them kind of goodies and stuffs. How would you, chat, how would you go about spawning items in a multiplayer scenario and then keeping track of all of those items if someone is out of relevancy, and maybe not spawning all of the items all at once? I don't think that would be very optimized, having all of those replicated items spawned all at once. Or maybe you could replicate all in once and then maybe use replication graph. Would that work? I don't know how to use replication graph. I've literally never used it before. I don't know how that works. How many players would I even have? I guess it would be 5 players. What's the typical friend slop lobby size? It's like 4 or 5, right? 64 friend slot battle royale. I've used a component before that just tracks item location, their distance relative to the player. Then it only adds them to a fast array to be replicated if the player is close enough. So would the server keep track of an array of all items in the level? And it would just be like a location with an ID? And then how would you check if a player is nearby that stuff? I guess a way you could do item spawning is you don't have items randomly scattered around. You could have chests or storage, and then they have to search that storage to actually have the item spawn. So I guess the server would have to spawn all of the items no matter what. I'm sure there has to be a really optimized way of doing that. I guess we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Either way, I'm probably going to tighten the relevancy distance. Rather than it being 25,000, I'll probably just set it to a much smaller number. Should be fine. Yeah. We'll figure it out. We need a name. We got a name. We have a name for the friend slop game. It's very good. It's a very good name. It's, in fact, it might be my best name I've ever come up with, ever. I'm very confident in the name. It's a really good name for a friend slop game. It's a really good name. I technically already have the ID on Steam, so I guess someone couldn't steal it, right? Could they? I guess they could still. So maybe I need to get a website and stuff going. What's the name? I don't want to give out the name yet. I don't want someone stealing it. I guess if I put out the name now, it's technically in copyright. Is it Choo Choo Friend Slop? No, I'll tell you guys what it is. The game name is Train Rot. Like brain rot, but train rot. Train rot. I love it. It's like brain rot, but it's literally train rot. I literally, the only thing I was able to, I've started putting in yet so far is VoIP. You can check what kind of thing you currently have. We can host sessions using Steam, and then people can join the sessions. And then I just got started putting really basic controller, and it keeps track of where your head is, and then other clients can join in. I haven't tested that stuff yet. I need to test the VoIP. You can hit V, and then I think I can test the voice. Let's see if it works while streaming. Hello, test. Yeah, see? Hello, testing, 1, 2. Oh wait, you guys can't hear that, can you? Wait, hold on. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. So that all works, which is great. Hello? Hello? It's me. It's me. Again. I have to change up some defaults. There's some like default noise gate stuff that's a little bit intense. And then also my my mic input gain is pretty low, so it's like hello, like hello. See, now it's like a little bit hello, hello. Yeah. Is that a plugin? I'm using Steam Core. Steam Core Pro. Yeah. What's the goal of the game? Listen, I'm not telling all of you guys my secret idea. I'm not giving out all my goodies, you know, even though it's not the most like unique idea ever, but it's a friend slop game. This is actually one of the game ideas where I'm like, I actually want to get it done ASAP so that nobody takes it. You know, I never believed in that. I always believed that execution is the biggest thing, but shelf this game? No, I don't want to shelf this game. I want to follow through with the date, because I do think we have something here that we could play around with and see what people say about it. But I am probably going to be working on the train game more so. Probably, I do think, even though it is multiplayer and it's going to take a lot more for me to learn, I actually do have... Now, hopefully I don't fuck up the optimization or the multiplayer or whatnot. It's going to be quite a bit of a learning process, but... Yeah. I do want to go like all... I do think I want to go all in on the friend slop game idea. You go on your train and you upgrade it. It is very much like combining Repo, Peak, and Lethal Company into one, kind of. Like, I think that's probably the best way of defining it. Peak because, well, yeah, but it's also, instead of you going up a mountain, it is you trying to take your train to, like, the last station. Surviving a shift, I guess, of managing a train. Hey, Rock, how's it going? Isn't there the Mimic game that takes place on a train? I don't know. My entire game basically only takes place on a train. There will be stations, but the stations will just be like, you can purchase items. Maybe there's some like little random items there, which I think is very Repo-esque, I guess, in that respect. What you doing up there? How'd you get up there? How'd you get up there? Wait, how do you get up there? How did he get up there? I actually don't know how he got up there. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. I think if anything, even if it doesn't work out, as long as I learned a lot of multiplayer, I'd say it's a win. So honestly, there's no losing. There's no losing with a friend slop game, at least in my situation, because I want to make multiplayer games. Do you know much about physics? No. For the train game, I'm not even going to be doing, like... Well, I will be doing some physics, but... the train won't actually be moving. Just the environment around. So it's going to be very faked. I had some ideas originally where I was like, oh, maybe we make it so it's like the train is like this, like, simple one locomotive, and then, like, the players have to go around and, like, scavenge shit in, like, a post-apocalyptic kind of land. But then I was like, I think I'm just going to do everything on the train. And then kind of go a little bit Alien Isolation-esque, I guess. Where you can, like, go in events and stuff. It's probably going to be a much larger train than you would expect. Kind of Snowpiercer-esque, I guess. Multiplayer isn't as hard as you may think. It's just a lot of repeated code to make sure it runs on server or client. We'll find out. I don't know. I think it's different. It's a different way of thinking about things, right? I do think there's that element. Are they? Is there a bug here where they just spawn on top of there? Or did I just forget to not kill that guy? Thought of a trading game, you start out with one card and you can build more if you find the parts. I'm not sure what I'm going to do from station to station, if you keep the same train, or if you have to change the train, or if the train magically, like, all of the carts change. Because how I plan on doing it is, like, all of the carts will be randomized and whatnot. It'll be like a random cart. And it's easy because you could just go from one cabin, I guess, and then spawn the other cabinet behind it and just go down in a loop and then just do it that way. So, yeah. But obviously we need to work on the game. I can't just keep thinking about the ideas and whatnot. I have to actually work on it. The one idea that I'm thinking of is in the beginning. Anyways, whatever. I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to give away too many ideas. One of you motherfuckers is going to be... oh, hey. I know how to make multiplayer. I'm just going to do this before this guy does. If you build with the foundation of Unreal's game state and player state, it makes some of it easier. See, that's the thing, Marengo. I have never actually used those objects until now. Like, I'm going to be using those objects now. Because up to this point, most of my knowledge revolves around single player, which is mostly player character, player controller, kind of game mode, but not really, game instance, and that's about it. I never used game state. I never used player state. And there's another object that I didn't use much of. I forget what it's called. There's like one other object, pretty sure. What's the other object that I'm thinking of? I think that is all. I think that is all of it. Is that all of it? Player controller, player character, game state, game mode, player state. I guess HUD. But I think HUD is local. All of that is entirely local. So it doesn't really matter. I've never used replication graph, never used iris. So. Am I using the new foliage of 5.7? No, I'm still on 5.6. I probably won't be switching to 5.7 until 5.7.1 comes out, just to be sure. Just to be sure. And then that's just server RPCs and client RPCs, which aren't too hard to understand. The thing I'm being told is that RPCs can be extremely expensive and can cause one of the biggest issues, which is clogging up your entire, like, your networking, which is what starts to cause like major lag and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'm going to be learning how to do a lot of rep notify variables instead. But what's really funny is that I also heard from some other people or some other random bullshit I read online that's like, oh, well, replicated variables are actually expensive. So I don't fucking know what to trust. I'm just going to have to learn how to profile. Just going to have to learn how to profile a network multiplayer because I can't fucking trust anything online. Half the shit's fucking incorrect. I'll probably do some of it in C++. I'm sure multiplayer might function better in C++. I know the implementation is a little different. So honestly, I'll probably try to figure out the C++ stuff a little better. 5-player non-competitive tile, no one cares. I feel like people do care to an extent. To an extent. You know what I mean? Am I making something like a zombie mod? No, it's like a game. It's a sword game kind of thing. I don't really know what I'm making. I have a game up to 16 players with proximity chat, synced physics objects, and almost entirely server/client RPCs, and it runs fine. Maybe I just need to try it out more. I guess the idea is you don't want to do RPCs on tick. I think that would maybe be one of the big things, is make sure that you're not doing RPCs on tick, I guess. You're Atnum. How's it going? Yeah, obviously I'm worrying about issues that I haven't encountered yet, but I like to be proactive when it comes to learning about like tools and whatnot. But yeah, it'll be an interesting learning journey, getting it back into replication. And I would like to toy around with physics stuff too. I think that'll be fun. I feel like an integral part of Friend Slop is physics goofiness, but not in a way of like server jankiness. Like I'm sure a little bit of jankiness is fine, but I feel like there's a certain threshold where once you exceed a certain threshold of jank, it's like, you know, I don't know how I feel about the game. You know? I did read up a little bit on replicated physics. There's different modes of replicated physics, so it's going to be interesting just experimenting with all that. You need to do something extremely shitty. Yeah, the thing is, I've worked on a multiplayer game before, and it was really janky. So there was probably just a misuse of replicated variables and RPCs, and that was probably what it was. And also trying to sync up animation montages, because there was a lot of animation montages involved. I wonder if I still have footage of that. I'm pretty sure I do. From years ago. From many years ago. Obviously, the fake zombie game trailer thing was also replicated, but it was like very fake replicated. Like, I saw stuff that I could do that that Jay was the person I was doing that video with. He could not see. So it's pretty funny. Is this the video? It has some of the replicated stuff. When was this? 7 years ago. My gabagoo. Hello, internet? Please? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me find the actual video, because that's like a compilation of shit. We had a demo out for this. We actually did play testing for this goofy ass game. As you can see, it was like a dueling thing. And don't ask me why we left the line traces in. I think maybe this would have run better if we weren't doing it on a development build. I wonder why we didn't do a shipping build and we stuck with the development build. I don't think I have any of these original files though. It'd be interesting opening this shit back up. I don't think I have the original project for this though. It was PvP, which, you know, already fucking setting ourselves up for failure. Doing PvP. It was like a blocking system. There were abilities, if I remember correctly. How did we do the turning animations? Is that advanced locomotion system? Puke. That was awful. I think it was fun. I don't know, maybe it was fun. I don't think it's fun anymore. Because I look back at that and I'm like, ugh. Ugh. Yeah, I'll probably be doing the first playtest for the multiplayer game. Not this game, the other thing I'm working on. Probably this weekend, I think. I just have to get the inventory system and stuff going, so then that way it's like a worthwhile test. Anyways, this is honestly not feeling bad. Obviously there's more that could be done. But it's the project isn't feeling too bad. The fact that we can regain health, I think, is huge. I gotta do a test package with this to see if it packages correctly. Because I've not done a test package for this project yet. I'm gonna message you on Discord to make sure my idea isn't the same as yours. No, don't worry about it, man. Even if it is, just go for it, Ben. Whatever, man. I'm not gonna stop you. What am I gonna do? Police you and be like, all right, that's my idea. What the hell, man? Like, what? I ain't no cringe lord. All right. But if it is the same idea, we're competitors. All right. There's a competition, and maybe that'll inspire both of us to get the thing done sooner before the other. I stole and mixed these ideas first into a cocktail. How dare you? How dare you take my relatively generic game idea and steal it from me? No, don't sweat it, seriously. All right. I guess we could work a little bit on that then. I'll open that project up and fuck around with it a little bit. I know we technically only have 6 days left on this. I think I'm going to end up working this weekend. I usually have a rule where I tell myself I should not work on weekends, but I might work a little bit off stream this weekend. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. I'm breaking my rule. Let's get an interaction system going on the Friend Slop game. Surely working on 2 games on stream isn't going to be so confusing for people, right, guys? Early stream tomorrow, then? No, I'm probably not going to stream this weekend. I'm probably just going to work off stream. Writer... You got to prep for sailing release. I don't know if I care that much. I don't know if I care that much. TBH. I don't know if I care that much about sailing. When is it? The 16th, right? The 19th. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I think I'm in a stage now while working on these games where I actually would prefer to work on these two games, work on the Friend Slap game and this game, and the Demon game, over playing games. That's why I would want to work on the weekend. I don't view it as work, I guess. I view it as doing what I like doing, I guess. Which is nice. It's nice that I'm able to be in that mental space. I don't feel the need to soak up my time with games. Albeit, it would be cool to see how sailing is, though. On release. I'm sure it's going to go really well. Let's give it 4 years in the same game again, see if you feel the same. I am hoping that the train... Okay, I'm hoping that the train Friend Slap game... It is my first time learning multiplayer, so I got to give myself that time frame, but I'm hoping I can get it out within like 3 to 6 months. If I can aim for that, I'll be happy. And then for the Demon game, I think that one's going to be like my medium-term game. That's probably going to take a year. Hopefully. Hopefully. But yeah. April 6th, 2027 it is then. Gotta hire some marketing people. I don't think I do. That's how confident I am in the game. As long as I can get the art right and the horror aspects right, I think the game itself will be probably self-explanatory. And I think I probably have a few contacts that do live streaming that I could probably get to try out the game and whatnot to get it started, get the spark started. So I don't think I need to hire marketing people. My 3-month quick project I started in February is coming out next January. Yeah. This Coal? What is Coal? Is that a game? Coal? Coal. That's a different... That's... What is that? It's not coal. Coal? Pause of coal. No, no. Coal? I don't know. I'm sure my game is not that unique. Anyways, what's really fun is that now that I'm doing a multiplayer game, I have to do it with... I have to do multiple tests. I have to check, does it work on the server? Does it work on the client? Does the other client see the client doing it? And does the client see the server doing it? It's got to be the most awful testing procedure for anything ever. You have to check if client to client works, server to client, client to server. Oh, no, the game's not called Coal. The game, the Friend Slap game, the thing is, you guys are going to see the names everywhere. It's called Train Rot. Server to server? No, we don't have to do server to server, luckily, so... Yeah, I know playing an editor can cause multiplayer issues. We're not going to get, like, the best result, but it at least gives us a general, like, hey, does this at least work in some respects? Okay, so let's get started. We need a interface, API interaction. So this is going to be, like, probably literally the heart of everything in this game. we'll just do interact. Input is going to be, so we're going to need the instigator. That's going to be a big one for multiplayer, I think. And this is going to be a pawn. Instigator. What other things are we going to need for interact? Actually, would that be the output or... No, that would be the output. Any reasoning for creating it in Blueprint? I've never created a interface in C++. I am going to be doing quite a bit of C++ in this project, though. So maybe I should somehow start this in C++. How do I create a blueprint interface in C++? Class U interactable interface, public U interface. Yeah, that might be a good idea because we're probably going to want to call the interact thing on C++ objects. So let's actually, fuck it, I guess. Let's put it in. So source, we're going to add a Unreal class. Interface. Is this a blueprint interface? If we call interface in here, I would assume it is. I guess it doesn't matter. And this is going to be interaction interface. And this is probably going to add all of our stuff here. U interaction interface. U interface. Yes, yes. Okay. I would assume you would just call it like this. I guess for now we'll do void just to see if it works. Now, I don't know if I want to call it interact with actor or just interact. I guess we'll just call it interact. I'm confused. Why did this suddenly turn blue? It turned a different color? Interesting. I'm a little concerned. I don't know why it changed color. So interact, what kind of input and output do we want from interact? Oh, you know something that kind of sucks is it can only output one someone correct me if I'm wrong. With C++, you can only have one output pin, or is it one input pin? I'm pretty sure multiple input pins, but only one output pin, or one output variable. Or is there ways of doing multiple output variables? Or should I just output a struct? You can have more outputs, but it's weird in how you set it up. So at that point, might as well just have a struct. And then either way, we probably would want a struct anyways, because we'd maybe want to replicate that stuff in the struct. So let's get started with this just so I can see if this actually works. If I've properly created a C++ interface. There's one. Yeah, I think if we do any sort of output on the interface, we'll do thing. Okay, let's get started with some really basic stuff. Did I already create an action input for interact? I did not. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll duplicate the voice chat, input action. And let's go ahead and put it to our default. I'm an E to interact kind of guy. Count registrations. The fuck? Let me also put in my task list. Crouching, we're gonna need a dead state. So spectator. Spectator slash dead state. Main menu join server. Configure microphone settings. Yeah, we do need a test button, which I don't actually know if it works in a non-session. I think it does. I have to test. Does it? Hold on, let's double check. Let's open up. So open up the game. Open up the game. OSS.voiceLoopback1. Test. Hello, testing. Oh, fuck. I think this doesn't work. Voice.mic input gain 3. Hello, test. So this stupid thing does not work if you're not in a session, which really sucks. That means we can... So does that mean when you start up the game, we should just start a lobby session just right off the bat, just so we can like get multiplayer to work? Or get the microphone testing stuff to work? That would be a better way of doing microphone testing other than relying on the session stuff. Balls! 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 Sorry I'm late, Krim. I overslept. Yeah, how dare you, man? I've been live for 2 hours. We worked on the other game, and now we're working on a different game. How dare you, man? Okay, so we're going to want IA interact. We're going to want on started, or yeah, on started. Do I want to do a line trace or a box trace? Let's do a line trace for now to get started. I'm probably going to want to make an object type for things that are interactable. So let's go ahead and add that to our collision. So this will be a... I guess it could be a trace channel. No, I'm going to do an object channel. Interactable? Okay. Now I probably would also want to trace for like world static. Because we want to see if you're like in the way of anything. But for now we'll just we'll just do this here. So the start will be our camera location. Then we're going to get the forward vector of it. And we're going to multiply this by a certain amount. This will probably be like, oh, great. I thought I put it in my editor preferences to not do that shit. Node. I remember when you hover over this, enable type promotion. Don't know why that doesn't save from project to project. Not sure why. Doesn't really make much sense. So we'll do a distance of, I guess, 500 for now. Let's show a debug. We could see that that is working properly. Okay. Okay, good. You know, Flick, how's it going? You know what we should start with? We should start with opening up a door. Let's start with the hardest thing of all, opening a door. let's start with the most hardest thing of them all. Opening a door. And then get that replicated. I think we're going to do sliding doors. We're not going to be doing any like traditional doors. So we'll just do, I don't know, like a really simple timeline or something. Luckily, because we're on a train, we can do sliding doors. So, yeah. Yes. Now, if I remember correctly, for a sliding door, we would probably want that on a rep notify. Because you need to replicate if a door is open or not through a notify. This has the doors and windows to snapping. I think for now, we'll probably just snap it, but we'll probably have it so it like goes on along a timeline at the very least. Okay, so we got our interact. I am seeing though, we do need some inputs in here. One of them definitely gonna have to be the instigator. So that, how would we type that? U-pawn? A-pawn? A-pawn instigator. Oh, right. Needs to be a pointer. Needs to be... No, don't. There we go. Thank you. So this will be the instigator, which will be a pawn. Type pawn. Or should we make type actor? No, I want to do pawn because then we can call to the pawn if we need to do any specific stuff on the pawn. In fact... Ideally, it'd be nice if we can actually call directly to our player character. But we need to create a C++ class for the character. Which we're going to have to do anyway, so we should probably do that soon. We got the pawn instigator as our first function. Here, Kalinex. Chat, I want to do something kind of goofy, a little Half-Life-esque, a little Source-esque. I don't know if this is how Source does it, but if you hold E on an object rather than just tapping it, it'd be interesting if you could like drag items around rather than picking it up. Have I seen this one? Locomoto. It's cute. It's just a different type of game. Like, it's definitely a much different type of game than what I'm going to be working on. Very nice, though. Much more chill, kind of cozy vibes. Whereas I'm going to be leaning more like horror. More horror kind of stuff. How would you go about replicating a player character dragging items around? Would you use a what's it called? A physics I guess a physics constraint or physics handle? Would physics handle work properly in most? I'd be curious to try that out. We should fuck around with that. I'm actually curious. Let's make a new folder called objects. BP test dragging object. This would be a cube. And I guess we'll just simulate physics on it, I suppose. Let me take a look at the settings for physics advanced. Oh my, that's a big object. Hold on, let's make it smaller. There you go. I wonder how replicated that is already, if at all. Oh great, it's the other direction. Hold on, let's try it. I would assume you'd probably have to set the object to replicated. Replicate physics to autonomous proxy. True for server authoritative simulations and false for client authoritative simulations. Okay. How expensive is it though to replicate movement? I have a feeling that must be like fucking expensive, is it not? Depends on how many things are moving at once. I see. Oh, you guys don't see this. This is going to be... I don't know how I'm going to structure this on stream because I have these windows on a separate screen. Guys, I don't know how I'm going to... Okay, let's do new editor window for the server. Whatever, there we go. We should probably just be doing this anyways. So what happens when we push the box? Okay. So interesting paradigm. Client 1 sees the cube over here, but the cube is not over there. If I tap it, does it count as a hit on the... No, interesting. Very interesting. Well, that's interesting already. That's already very interesting. Does the component need to be set to replicate? Even though it has replicated... Oh, this is gonna be an interesting... This will be interesting. Let's see if now that we set the component replicate, I wonder if that makes any difference. They all kind of look like they're in the same spot now. Okay, I'm just kind of fucking around with that just to see what the process could potentially be like for that. Let's see, character movement. Where was that one thing for pushing objects? Push force scale. We probably want to reduce the push force factor. And then probably the touch force, I'm assuming. Oh, right. It starts, it starts sleeping. How does the sleeping and waking up work? I think if it gets touched, it wakes up. Yep, that's what it was. It's still getting pushed like really hard. I don't know if it's because the mass of it is really low or if the player has like an insane amount of push force. How he had to redo most of his game. No, I'm going to be doing a lot of testing in multiplayer. We're going to be doing a lot of testing. I'm not simulating any lag yet. I forget what this console command for that is. There has to be, I don't think it's lag. I'm pretty sure it's like a different word. Latency, yeah, it's something latency. Search for PKT, packet. Oh, there we go, packet lag. Wait, does this not have, you can see a little bit of the jittering, but I think that's just basic. I forgot how to just add latency. I swear there's a really basic command for it, but anyways, I don't know if we're gonna do. Let me just see how we can change like basic pushing for now, because we are gonna do a little bit of pushing. Z offset for the position the force is applied to. 0.0 F is the center of the physics object. 1 is the top, and -1 is the bottom of the object. Wouldn't we want the middle of the object, so 0? Otherwise, simply use the impact point. We might change that. Really timing specific player interactions. Oh yeah, this is not going to be a very specific player interaction thing. Being able to push physics objects. If anything, it'll just be like, yeah. Now it's too heavy. Let's see. Let's change the mass back to 5 kilograms. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Now we can start working our way up. So we can change the push force factor. Okay. We're probably going to do a little bit of client authority stuff for sure. Definitely. Okay, so now let's try 500 initial push force factor. Let's do 50. Okay, it's interesting just to fuck around with like the object being replicated in space, and it seems like it's relatively consistent. I wouldn't mind somehow interpolating it, because you can see the jittering, which kind of sucks. The fact that it like jitters because it's trying to so hard to stay consistent. So I'm gonna read up on this stuff to see how that all functions. Yeah. Would be interesting to read up on it. To kind of give a little bit more client authority for replication. Oh, here you go. Physics replication mode. This is what I was reading up on. Physics replication performing velocity interpolation. Local predictive interactions with other actors, especially actors of the local role. Autonomous proxy. Resimulation. Forward predicted replication by simulating physics and correcting errors. Resimulating physics from a correct state in the past. Yeah, that's probably some stuff that I wouldn't mind messing around with. How do you set the net roll, though, of an object? This is saying net roll. How do you set up the net roll? Can you even... Wait, can you even set the net roll of an object in Blueprint? That could be interesting to play around with, but I'm not too concerned with that right now. What I am concerned with is making sure that interaction can be replicated. So let's mess around with that a little bit. So let's do BP test door. We're going to do a cube. Actually, I think do I have the starter content in here? Supposedly I do. This is apparently a door. I don't know about you. That just looks like a cube to me. I don't think I have the starter content in here. Guys, I don't think I have the starter content door in here. which is weird because I thought I did. Oh, I only have level prototyping. Yeah, that's kind of cringe. Oh, it's that, I guess. Yeah, I don't need any of that. I just need a cube. Just give me the put the cube in the bag. Just put the cube in the bag. I don't need anything crazy. Just put the cube in the bag. I don't need any of the fancy shit. The server's net roll. I gotta refresh my memory of all the different net rolls because I forgot what autonomous proxy versus simulated proxy is. I think it. Yeah, I gotta remember all of those terminologies. That's gonna be that's gonna be fun. Can't wait to have to deal. Can't wait to deal with that. Okay, so we're gonna want to apply the interface, which is interactable interaction interface. Very good. And then let's go ahead and add the interact. And let's just get started. We'll do a variable called opened. And this will be a rep notify. On rep opened, if it is opened. I'm seeing if I remember how to do this. Set actor, location. So this is currently 0000. Let's do 250 on the X. Now, what I'm curious is if we call a rep notify, is it going to call it directly on the person that interacts with it? Because if so, that's not going to be very good because we're going to probably want to do some other stuff. Replication conditions, okay. Okay. For now, let's just do, we're probably going to want to do a function for this, but let's do this. We'll set actor location. I'm going to want to set opened. Get opened not. And we'll get started with that as a basic version. The basic version. Now, we'd probably want to run this on server. Pretty sure. Probably going to want to run that on server, otherwise it's not going to... Oh, wait, shit. We're going to want to do that. We're going to want to do that. Okay. So then we can actually interact with it. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to show up on the clients because... Oh, did I set world location and not relative location? Yep. I'm stupid. Yep, I might be a little dumb. A little bit. I might be a little dumb. Just a tad. There we go. So I'm pretty sure this will not get replicated because the rep notify is not being called on the server. Or it might because the server is calling it. No. Okay, good. So what we'll want to do is, for one, I guess we need to replicate the actor first. Okay, so server can run it. Very cool. However, the client cannot. So we need to... So this is where like things get complicated. So we'll probably want to call an RPC. Yeah, I guess we'd want to call an RPC. Do you really have to call an RPC anytime you want to set a replicated variable? Are we going to have to call an RPC anytime we set a replicated variable? Is that just the workflow? Is you have to call an RPC that calls the variable? Posted a picture on Discord for a small screenshot? What is that, Bane? Only pawn can replicate movement. So I don't understand. What is the replicate movement Boolean then? Is it, I imagine it's for location and rotation. So let's see, actually, if I set this to notify, and then instead of doing a RPC for replication, maybe I just do a replicate movement. But then the thing is I wonder if this is more expensive than just doing an RPC that calls a Boolean. Let's try this test. So server's going to work. Let's close it. But then client to server, or client calling it, not replicated. Now, I don't know if it's because we have to replicate the component. That's kind of annoying if we have to do all of that, because I wonder what kind of cost that has on having to do all that, when we could probably just call an RPC that does it. Yeah, I think this is just a case of... Actually, can you make a function? This is where I think I would actually start preferring to do this stuff. in C++ and learning how to do this in C++, because otherwise it can get real fucking chaotic. Okay, so server calling it, no problem. Client calling it. Client cannot call it. Client can no longer call it. Should replace the set relative location inside the on rep notify function. It is. But do we also have to? Do we also have to call the set relative location on the server? I guess that's where replicate movement would come in. Let's see if I still have that called. Let's do replicate movement. Location related properties. Now, I don't know if this replicates movement only on the actor location or if it also replicates its components. It's possible we might have to call. Okay, well, we're learning. Interesting. Okay, so server is always fine. Call server opens door from client, server opens door, call multicast. Do I actually have to call? I don't think I have to call multicast on a replicated property, do I? I'm gonna take a bit to learn again. I guess we would have to, let's see if setting this to replicates. I don't know if I want to abuse this. This could get really pretty bad. Let's see, we're gonna do some testing. I am surprised. Does a rep notify function differently from a regular replicated variable? No, I don't think I want to make this a reliable event at all. So let me see if replicated functions different. I'm pretty sure rep notify functions very similarly. I gotta refresh my memory on this. So we call interact. I guess the problem is that when we interact with an object, we don't have to replicate the actual interaction line trace, do we? I don't think we do. Do we? Is that the fail from right from the beginning? Do we have to replicate the interaction event? That might be the problem, is that the we would call the line trace locally, but then when we actually hit an object, I wonder if we should call that on server. Maybe we can interact locally and call on server, I guess. Also, something I want to test really quickly. I just noticed this. I could run through it. Is it because the door type is set to interactable? I guess we don't block. Directable. Okay, just so we can test that out. So what I'm curious. The client clicking the door is a local owned actor. Doesn't ever reaches the server. Oh, because it's in the level, the authority isn't given to the server. I have to spawn the door. Is that the difference? Oh my god. Was that what it was? Can you set the authority of an object directly to the server? I guess you can't. You'd have to spawn it. 3 to 6 months? Give me some time. I just gotta, like, learn this stuff a little bit again. Refresh my memory, and then, you know what I mean? Like, once I get into it, like, the stuff we're doing is not complex. It's not like complex gameplay stuff like combat, which is what I tried to do back then. This is like doing interaction event stuff and whatnot, you know what I mean? Straighten the level is fine. I think if we do straighten the level, we're gonna have to do multicasts, I think. How do we make it, like, either way, we would probably spawn this. We would probably spawn this in runtime anyways. The door would be spawned in runtime. So I want to see the difference. We're going to keep this door here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn a different door. Let me get some text in here. This would be a good testing thing. Okay. The fun begins when a player joins mid-game and has to know if the door is open already or not. That is the reason why I'm doing a rep notify. A rep notify allows us to, as far as I remember from when I fucked around with this stuff a while back, rep notify allows us to keep track of an object's state even if the player is outside of relevancy. So once they get back into relevancy, they're going to receive these variables to know what state it's currently in. So that's why I'm doing the rep notify process. So if a player joins mid-game, or if the player is outside of the relevancy of the door and then enters the relevancy, then they receive the, what we might do, we might change the relevancy distance of all the player characters to like a really insane value for testing. So then that way we can test relevancy. Where do we change that? where do we change relevancy distance? I guess we could do that on a per, can we do that on a per object basis? I guess we could do that on a per object basis. So, okay, we're going to test out the in-world door, and then let's do a non-in-world door that I test out. Class settings and class defaults. Go to settings and it's there. Is that the default? Oh, there it is. Net call distance squared. Why is it such an enormous fucking number? What is this? What is this squared? What does this mean? I wish this could just be a radius. That would just make my life so much easier. Can I, let's see, net call. If I remember correctly, there should be a networking section. Network. Good, very good. It's probably a console command, is it not? My $100 tip is turn off net relevancy and forget about it unless you're streaming a world and are doing a huge world MMO. I'm okay with learning it. Honestly. I'm okay with learning net relevancy. If anything, it'll probably make things a little bit more optimized throughout the game. Now, I don't know how big the world, like how big the train's going to be, right? So we'll figure it out over time, of course. Okay, so we need to test spawning in a door. Let's make we're going to make a how do we go about spawning a door? How can I spawn a door on server? Oh, let's just do this. Let's do actor BP underscore server spawn server actor spawner. Okay, and then the server actor spawner, we're gonna put it over here. Wait, okay, question though. How do we replicate objects that are spawned dynamically? That's gonna be interesting. If we spawn the trains dynamically, because they're gonna be somewhat procedurally generated to an extent. How does that get replicated? If a player is not in the space and then something gets spawned, I guess if it's on the server, it'll replicate to the client when they join in. I guess we'll have to figure that out. We'll have to learn that. If the actor sets to replicate and server spawns, it spawns for everyone. Okay. Okay, we'll be good then. This has to be an actor class reference. So this is going to spawn a door. Just want to see if this will work. Test door. And we only want this to run. Let's do a delay. Do a branch. How do we check if we are the server? Is server? Whether this world is in the host or not. Okay. Oh, has authority. I guess that would work, right? Okay, wait, hold on. Let's do a test here real quick before we. So we should only see yes on the server. Yes. Okay, good. Good. Very good. Okay, so that means I can spawn an actor from class. Which is actor to spawn. Okay. Now I wonder, so now the next test is, we have this as replicates, right? Okay. Will that other door appear on the other clients? Yes! Okay. So now this is a server door. If I click on that, so even on run on server. So we need to replicate the interaction event, I think. I think that's the problem. The server does not know that we hit E. And that is, I think, the core problem right now. We need to replicate the actual interaction event itself. So can we do it this way? And I don't know if we're gonna have to multicast it. We'll see if I have to. And then we'll do server interact call. It's a lot of learning we're gonna have to do here. That's okay. We're gonna be doing a lot of learning. If I call self, yes, it should return the actual thing that's calling it. We're gonna be doing a lot of this, which I'm not looking forward to. This should work. Yeah. The question is, can we do a local call on interact on top of the server interact? And because I guess my problem is, are we going to need two different interact events? One that's for like client events to make sure like things happen instantly, so then we don't have to rely on. Because the thing is, if we call this, there's a chance that it might take a little bit for something to happen. For example, like opening a door. So we'd probably want to open the door on the client side first, visually. So do we technically want two separate interactions? Or maybe we don't. Maybe we just need to do stuff like this, for example, which is like we check if is server or whatever. Then the next question is, so we have, so let me put this here. So we have spawned by server. So this would be some fun stuff to like test out in an actual like lobby, a Steam lobby. Will it be a listen server? Yeah, it'll be all listen server. Okay, so spawn by server. In world. In world works, albeit everything is going to be spawned in, so I don't think we need to worry too much about in world, but we have it there. That works on both clients. What about in world? Oh, hey, the in world works now that we are running it on the server. Funny enough. So it's good to see that both of those work. That one works. How about collision? Collision is replicated. Okay, cool. I'm curious if we turn off replicate movement. My worry about replicate movement, will it only replicate movement when we set any locations? Or is it just going to constantly send information? That's my only concern about replicate movement, is if it's going to be doing that on tick. Or like, you know what I mean? I don't want to like get into a world of hurt where I start doing things. That's the client doing those, by the way. Okay, now I want to try out net relevancy. I'm curious about that. Or the net call distance. Yeah. Do you think the engineer is updating position? Position didn't change? Hey, listen, man, I don't know how this shit works, okay? I don't know how it works, okay? I don't know. What if I do 500 for the net call distance squared? Interesting. Is 500 too small? Let's try 2500. That would be 500. Would 2500 be 500 because squared? Wait, no, that would... Don't answer that question. I don't want to hear it. So that's really interesting. Let me try 10,000. Is this already squared? It seems like it. So 10,000, what is... That is... 100. Yes. So that's 100 units. So this will only appear once we are 100 units away from it. There we go. Okay. So let's try 1,000 times 1,000. I see why the number is enormous, because if I guess, since the default is 25,000, 25,000 times 25,000. Actually, it's less. Interesting. I don't know why this is squared. I really don't. I don't understand why it needs to be squared. For performance, having it squared? Cool. So even spawned actors will have a net relevancy. Interesting. Okay, so now if I go over here, we don't see the door. If I see the door and then I walk away, if I open it on client, oh, because it's a spawn actor, when you get out of net relevancy, you actually just don't see the actor anymore? Wait. But it is opened, which is good because of the rep notify. That's interesting. I thought it being in relevancy would mean that it would, you just straight up don't see it anymore. I thought it would still be there. It's gone. It's gone. It's because calculating distance requires the squared, and that's an expensive call. So having it squared already is much more efficient. I see. And net relevancy does not matter on the server because it is always relevant, right? Right. So I think one worry I have is as a client, using a server client, or client as server, client as server, yeah. Using a client host is a bit dangerous. Because they're going to be operating everything no matter what, right? So we almost have to optimize under the guise. We have to optimize as the server client to an extent, because if shit gets too expensive on the server, it could be pretty bad. I can imagine. I'm not worried yet. We'll worry about that when we get there. Obviously, I'm not concerned about it right now, but. That'll be a good test doing with that'll be a good test to do in an actual session. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, that's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that that it goes even as far, the relevancy goes even as far as like even if it was already spawned on the client, it just disappears. Like it never even existed. Very interesting. So in theory, items will just be invisible on the client if we set their net relevancy to a shorter distance, which is fine, especially for the type of game that we're doing. So if anything, that's actually kind of good. Net load on client variable? What is that? Net load on client. Net load on client. This actor will be loaded on network clients during map load. Okay. Okay. Actor will be loaded on network clients during map load. Could also be that we're doing something funny where I have an actor that spawns another actor. It's the server that spawns that actor. So yeah, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Interesting. Okay, we're learning a few things. We're learning a few things here. What did I want to check? Net update frequency 100. So I gotta remember. I watched a video that goes through like a bunch of these stuff, but I am gonna have to like take a gander into this stuff again at some point. For a door, I guess that would have a little bit more priority over other things, right? Just because of. But that being said, our distance would probably be a lot higher than this. Probably a lot higher than this anyways. So before you even reach the door and it having an impact on your collision, it'll probably already be on screen. But that being said, how do we, I'm assuming we would simulate lag on the client, or would we simulate lag on the server? So what kind of net, how do we simulate latency? I'm pretty, it's kind of annoying because I feel like we have to do multiple. I feel like we have to do multiple console commands to test out latency. You can do it in the advanced settings next to play. Oh, enable network emulation. Emission target server only. We probably want everyone. Let's do average profile. And let's see how that looks. How do we show packet loss, actually? Stat. Hold on, let me make sure that this doesn't like show my IP or something. Stat net probably is not going to show us. Oh, it does. Ping 250. But I don't know if that's because it's showing on all clients. I don't think that's actually going to show us. The stats. Where do we see that? Is it net.enable net stats? No, don't see that. Yeah, I don't know how to show ping. Maybe I could do ping. I don't know. I don't think any of these values are going to be correct, but whatever. Let's see here. Okay, so let's direct our attention to the door. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. See what I mean? We're going to have the door open directly on the client side. So then that way this doesn't happen. You can tell the latency because like you can actually see the line trace. So we're probably going to want the door to open on client side. And then I guess something that is going to be interesting. is collision. So let's say we do move the door on the client side, right? Although another thing that's kind of bad is like someone could in theory fuck up the server by like spamming interacting a door. So that's another thing we'll probably want to take a factor into. Just make the door animation super long to offset the feeling of lag. How do we so how do we do it so we animate it on the client side, but then we set the collision on the server side? Trying to think, because if we do set actor location, that's not going to work, right? I guess on the I guess that would be better off not using replicate movement and just driving it by states. I think I disabled replicate movement. Yeah, we disabled replicate movement. So it's all based on states. I guess on server side, we would just run the timeline. If we run it through a timeline, I guess we just run it on the server, and then each client would run their own local version of the timeline. I guess. And then in here, we'll keep this to the set relative location because we want that to be instantaneous. So server interact with door, set open, set relative location. This is probably where we're going to do a timeline. Not timeline. This one. We're going to do 2 seconds, I guess. Timelines are time synced, so they'll end at the same game time. Even if there is lag, it'll feel good. Well, I would imagine you can also replicate a timeline. Is that a good idea? I guess it doesn't matter if we're just playing it. Nah, we'll fuck around with all of that. You know, we'll mess around with all of that. No problem. So the idea here is we'll set the relative location based on, can we do an alpha in here as our select? Change pin type. If you do replicate the timeline, you would reintroduce the server delay. I'm trying to think. We can run the timeline locally. And then let's fuck around with the timeline first. We'll see if that somehow. We'll see how we can do it. We'll see how we can do it. This is going to be like a big learning journey for me, so. And I'm okay with that. We're going to be doing a lot of learning. A lot of learning here. A lot of fun learning here. So if open is true, we are going to play open sliding door. We're going to play the timeline. And then if false, we're going to reverse the timeline. Ooh. I was expecting the timeline to run locally. It's a fucked up looking door, I gotta say. It's a fucked up looking door. I was expecting the time. I guess it makes sense. It's not playing it locally. This might be one of those special moments where you actually do a custom event where it's like run on client. Never thought I would have ever used that node, but that might be a special moment. Oh god, I'm gonna reopen all these. Yeah, it looks a little stuttery. And I wonder how much worse that gets. Right now we're on average. Let's say we're on bad. Okay. What if we're on bad latency? Oh shit. Jimmy over here is fucked up. He is messed up. What is bad latency? Do you see what's going on, right? It's lag. The giga lag. Which is also sort of affecting our player character. I gotta look into that. I gotta see what's going on here. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's it equivalent to in MS? Minimum latency is 100 to 200 in terms of incoming traffic. Outgoing traffic is also 100 to 200. And a little bit of packet loss as well. So it's simulating packet loss. So what I'm curious, that's like really bad. That's like, it's pretty bad. It's like you are in a different country playing with your friend kind of thing. That jerkiness is probably authority corrections on the movement component. Authority corrections on the... Oh. Is on the player character, I'm assuming. But I also think it might be the way that I'm doing... I think the way I'm doing pawn control rotation is incorrect in terms of first person character, because I do notice some little jankiness that occurs. So I think that's one thing that I can fix relatively easily. It is to do with... Where the fuck is it? Yeah, use control rotation yaw. I don't think that is enough. Also, we have orient rotation and movement. We probably want to turn that off. Yeah, that we probably want to turn off, actually. You see how long it takes for them to load in, too? Wait. Wait, the cube is gone on client 1. He does not see a cube. Cube gone? Where cube? Where cube? Wait. Even though client 2 has it. So because client 1 literally couldn't load in, he does not see the cube. He lost the packet. Oh, server is... Ooh, multiplayer is going to be very interesting. Ooh, this is going to be real interesting. Oof. Okay. Let's get everybody in here. Let's get the whole crew up in here. Also, I think removing the orient rotation of movement fixed up the weird jankiness, which is good. That was probably that. That was probably the causer of that. Yeah. Spawn it with a reliable RPC. I don't think we need to do that. You know, I don't think we need to do that. Try the corrections command, see if it's happening. Which one was it? What was the prefix? N? P. Net show corrections. Does that show it on all clients? Do all clients see that? I don't think so. Client position corrections. Okay, so what does green and what does red represent? So I guess the net corrections, there's just so many of them because it's just so bad. Geez, we actually had a packet loss there where the interaction got lost. I know, SPAC. There's a lot of things that I'll have to learn with all of this, so... What's the server? 127.0.0.1. Yeah. Yeah, it's 100 to 200 with 5% packet loss. So I think something I would like to do is we run the timeline on server, but it would be nice to see the timeline run locally so that way we can... I'd like to test that. Let's see if we can run... Let's see if we can run the timeline locally when the interact occurs. I wonder, will they fight against each other if we do this? If we do this, will they fight each other? This is probably not a good idea. Interesting. It's just not opening the door. So now that I did that. Okay, hold on. I don't know if this is going to get the correct value. Oh, it's a client server host model. Whatever default UE networking is basically what we're using. It would be cool. Yeah. What I'd like to learn is, let's try this out real quickly. I'm just going to play it. I'm going to play the open sliding door. We might have to turn off replication on the timeline, I'm assuming, just to see what happens. Now, this will obviously only work on opening, and then closing would just not work, but... Oh. I think it might be the replicated tag that's causing it to do that. I don't know. This is a new project? This is just someone on the side. Okay, so then... let's try this. Let's try this. From the server to the owning client. And then let's do... actually, let's just cut the wire. I'm curious if this will cause the timeline to play smoothly. It'll just play differently on each client. The door won't have an owning client. I see, that makes sense. So we could multicast it. Yeah, I guess we could multicast it. Friend Corpa slop. I'm curious if multicasting it would make it so the timeline plays more smoothly. Now, collision probably won't be completely synced up. Oh yeah, see? That's so much more smooth. But you can see that the server played it earlier. You could see the difference. You know, Golden. You see how much sooner the server is receiving the call and then the multicast is happening afterwards? You can also use the onrep for the open. That will sync up clients that miss the multicast. Would that work if we already have the set actor location? Like, I don't know if I want them to play a timeline when they get in on rep notify. I think I'd want them to just directly get the location, right? Or... now, is there any way I wonder if there's any way to reduce the delay. Not that, honestly, this is not that big of a deal. At least we're seeing the timeline move more smoothly. Now I guess it's more so, how do we make it so it moves? Oh, packet loss. How do I make it so it moves instantly? Yeah, exactly, Zattrack. Like, the collision would still fuck with you. So we'd either have to do one of two things. The server doesn't give a shit about the visual side of the door. It only cares about one singular like cube that we like instantly move. That would be the actual collision. That could be something we could do. So opening the door would instantly have the collision open up rather than it smoothly going in. And then the only thing that would be visual is the door opening. What I did in my game is disable the collision as soon as the door is open. That worked well for the sliding doors. Yeah, that could also be, yeah, that could also be the other thing. Turn off the server authority on player movement. Should we do that? I guess that would be a good idea for co-op, for friend slot. We should just turn off. Is that the server authority? Is that server except client authoritative position? This does mean that people can cheat. If true, and the server does not detect client position error, server will copy the client after simulating the move. Difficult to sync over the network. Yeah, so we could just turn that on. Honestly, I don't think we care too much about that. Cheating in a friend slot game? I think I do have to. So something I've been considering, I have seen some people play friend slot games by joining random lobbies. And yeah. So then we do have to consider, to an extent, I guess, cheating. What if you just don't make a server list? I bet you so many people are going to complain about that. That's the problem. The listen server has absolute authority anyways? Yes. So there is a chance that the person that cheats is the asshole that's hosting the server, so. The people who make passcodes for the rooms. Obviously, we'll have friends only, like lobbies and shit like that, of course. But I'm thinking for the people that want to join random lobbies or whatever. Yeah, possibly for things like opening doors, maybe we'd make it reliable, but we'd probably want to make it so you can only call that like we probably only want to call this once, like, if the door is already not opening. So then that way we can't spam the shit out of the door. What was I thinking about? There's something I wanted to do to the door. Oh, right. We, something to fuck around with is playing the timeline locally. So the person that presses it. So what would we do in that situation? Would we run the code on everything except for the instigator? Because the instigator is already running their own instance of opening the door. No, the door's fine. I think the thing that I want to figure out, or learn at least, this is like all learning experience stuff, right? Okay. Can we run the timeline on the person that's interacting with it so they get that immediate reaction of interacting with it? We could always assume, hey, they're sliding doors. We could say they're not analog, or they're not like, they're an automatic sliding door. It's not like you sliding it. So maybe it's like, oh, there's a little bit of technical latency, you know, like, you know what I mean? We could always use that as an excuse. But if we did want to make it instantaneous, I wonder, could we make it so we run the timeline locally on the instigator, but then we don't run the net latency? Yeah. Most people won't notice it. I know most people won't notice it. I'm just curious, can we do that? Is that something we can do? Yeah. Just to learn how we can do, like, I guess that would be, what would that be? Predictive, I guess, code? It'll cause desync. I know it'll cause desync. How do we go about coding that? Would we have to feed this server the instigator that's calling it? And then make sure that the instigator does not call the multicast? Because they're going to be calling their own version of it? Let's try replicating the timeline real quick. I don't know if that makes any difference. I'm curious. Curiosity. Also, I read your comment about the physics object. It's interesting because it's technically supposed to be asleep. So I guess somehow the physics object woke up on startup and caused it to go through the floor. Okay, replicating the timeline causes the jittery on when we have latency. Interesting. What the? By the way, I just got movement corrected there. Did you guys see that? So I don't know if I set the right, right. Authoritative. Note that if B ignore client movement error checks. Error checks. If true, we should ignore server location difference checks for client error on this movement component. This could be useful in characters moving at extreme speeds for duration. You need it to look smooth on clients without the server correcting client. Make sure to disable when done, as this would break this character's server to client movement correction. Do we also have to turn that on? What if you interpolate the lerp result from current to target location? Could we do that with a timeline, I guess? Anyways, we are technically looking at the worst case scenario. So we're looking at like the worst case scenario. Average is 30 to 60 latency, which I think is pretty like that's pretty reasonable. Maybe 30 to 70 would be like a pretty close average. Okay, that looked pretty okay, that looked okay, what okay, why is that happening? Multicast. Run the multicast. Why is it looking like that? Why do you look like that? Sliding door timeline. They get snapped there because of the on rep. Oh. Is that what happened? Would we want to check? So the on rep happened later on, actually. Can we check if the timeline is playing? Is that an acceptable? Wait, would that just be a NOR? I've never used NOR. Sure. Also, kick people at 300 ping. I don't know if I want to do that for a friend slot game, guys. I'm going to be honest. Kicking someone out of a lobby is probably like one of the most frustrating experiences ever. I don't think that's something we would want to do. Okay, the timeline is still not like perfectly smooth, but you know. P.net correction. How do we turn that off again? Correction P.net. It was net something. Oh, P.net show corrections. Okay. I'm gonna have to learn all of these console commands. Okay, that's not bad, honestly. And I'm sure we can make more improvements. We could turn off collision. We could blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, that could also be stuff that we can do. So more improvements could be made, but learn some interesting stuff. I'm sure there's even more that we could learn. That's a replicated door if I've ever seen one. Hell yeah. Cool. We must run with relevancy. The in-world one works now too, right? Let's double check. Server. No, it does not work anymore. For some reason it works on client and does not work on server. Okay, good. And now it works. Oh wait, was it because I was not in, oh, you know what? I think it's because I was not in relevancy. So it was just showing the door static. That's what was going on. Yeah. Now I'm curious. We should test this. When I get back in relevancy, does it appear as open? Yes, it does. Cool. Cool. Please add this emote. What is it? Overworking? You know what? Sure. I rarely overwork, so this is a perfect emote. Overwork. Oh my god. All right, cool. Good start. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, how does physics handle work? If you unplug the timeline and just change the on-rep variable, does it just snap as expected? A good question. I don't know if it's going to call the on-rep opened instantly. Let's see. So if we take out the timeline, we can check. Yeah, so it just opens. That's probably causing some of the snapping before then. Possibly. What I'm curious is that on rep notify, is timeline playing? Is that local or not? Oh, fuck. All right, hold on. Give me a second. Hold. Hold. Oh, because the timeline plays after. The timeline plays after the Boolean is set. And so the Boolean is being set, and then it's probably sending the on-rep call, and then calling the timeline. So that might be why. Here I can open and close it, and it's going to stay consistent. Can I see how much packet? How much? You know how there's a stat FPS? Is there a stat like net FPS? I gotta learn how to read all of this because I don't know what the fuck I'm reading. I don't know if it actually would give us any sort of stuff. Guys, look, Actor Chan. Actor Chan. Okay, we should be fine then when it comes to spamming. Either way, I think what we'd want to do is if you are opening and closing a door, we probably just want it to be in one state and then deny it if it's already like opening or closing currently. So that would be our way of fixing that probably. But honestly, it's not like too bad. Like if you think about it, ideally it would be nice to run the timeline locally, but what we could do is we could easily fuck around with this using sound effects. We can play a sound effect locally, like an unlocking sound or whatever, that kind of shit. Yeah, we could do a bunch of that. We could just run the timeline locally, instantly, and then multicast, but not multicast to the instigator. So then that way we don't constantly call the timeline 5 million times. Either way, I don't think it would matter because the timeline is already, it's on a play. So if it's already playing, I don't think it would care. I'm gonna test something. You'd be surprised? I know. Multiplayer. I know, multiplayer. This could cause problems. Whatever. Let's try it out. Let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. It's still delayed. The interaction only occurs on the server. So what if we call it locally? Hear me out. What if we do it twice? What if we hear me out? Do it twice, or we can do a check. Is server is authority? What the fuck? What the shit, man? It's got a little locking animation, but for some reason I cannot call it on the server. I can only call it on the client. Ah, of course. No, I can't. Oh, maybe I am opening and closing it instantly on the server. Okay, so hold on. Here, idea. Has authority. Wait, hold on. We could do the switch has authority. I forgot about that one. And we only do this on remote. Hey. Hey. It has a little snapping movement. But and then oh yeah, for some reason the server can't call it anymore. Server? Oh. I see what's going on the server. The server is calling it twice because we do want to run on server, which the server would already call run on server instantly anyways. We're also doing the interact with the non-server. So, yeah. So, I guess here we'd have to do a switch authority. Okay, so if you are remote, do both. If you are just the server, just call the server version. Is this stupid? Maybe. I don't know. I'm new here. I don't know. We're learning. Yes. Okay. So now the server will only call it once, which I think is the current problem. And then the server gets it instantly, and they see it smoothly. The client gets it instantly. The only thing they see is the little tick, tick. Yeah. You could just call a multicast on the server. Should we do that on interaction though? Should we just like, instead of doing a bunch of shit on per object basis, maybe we just run on server / multicast interaction events? I guess we could always do it that way, I suppose. Right? Honestly, this is interesting. This is an interesting first version. Obviously, we got a little bit of that little weird thing going on there. Yeah, I know we can still do the client logic. I'm just wondering, I guess we can just say fuck it and just do multicast directly from the interaction event. Would any of this change if it was all on a moving train? Luckily, the moving train is not going to be actually moving. It's just going to be stationary. The environment around us will be fake and look like we're moving. Luckily, that's how we're going to do it. Ain't no way am I moving a fucking train on replication. You kidding me? Hell no. Hell no. Can you imagine the amount of fuckery that would be involved with doing that? Luckily, because we set the net relevance relatively far away, it won't get fucked if we're too far away while it's moving. So no problem there. Interesting. Good testing. The old Uncharted 2 technique? Hell yeah, dude. I do think one thing that we could figure out is how do we fix that little snapping going on? You know what I mean? What is causing the snapping? Let's also see what that looks like with more latency. Hold on. Let's go really bad. 1 hundo to 2 hundo. Ooh. I guess what we could do is just not run the timeline on the instigator. Right? Just not call... We could just not call the timeline call on the instigator. The only problem with that is if you are spamming the shit out of it and then you have a packet loss that somehow occurs out of nowhere, we might... the door might go out of sync. The door might go out of sync if we do that, but... It's not my problem. Door stuck. Yeah, literally door stuck moment. So... yeah, is open and close the same event? It's the same timeline. Honestly, not horrible. You know what? Not horrible. I think this is that's a pretty good start for learning stuff. Pretty cool. Okay. This weekend I'm going to work on picking up items. If you do stuff locally to make it look good for a whole world of bugs, well, yeah, but I think that's all part of multiplayer. if you just rely on run on server for everything, you're just gonna have so much laggy shit for clients, and it's just not fun for clients. You know what I mean? Like then it just becomes ass. So I feel like there's a happy middle point that I think that's probably the challenge, is the happy middle. You need to balance certain data and what looks good. Yeah. There's some systems that help you out with that big time, like Gaz. Do I use Gaz for opening a door and looting items? I guess you could. I'd have to learn how to, though. Gaz does all that predictive nonsense. It'd be an interesting thing to learn. It would be an interesting thing to learn. Is this pre-recorded? I am a robot. This is a pre-recorded stream. This stream was actually recorded on November 10th. Anyways, good stream. See you guys on Monday. I don't think I'll be streaming this weekend. I'm just gonna be working on stuff this weekend, I think, myself. Probably gonna do some session joining / hosting tests this weekend as well. And I guess now we can fuck around with the doors. Tarkov 1.0 tomorrow. It's gonna be a shit show. Fuck Tarkov. I'll see you guys on Monday. Thank you for the help. Appreciate it. Lots to learn with multiplayer. Lots to learn with multiplayer. Let me tell you, lots to learn with multiplayer. Lots to learn. It's going to be an interesting journey. Well, that's all part of it. If anything, I actually found it really interesting and fun. Well, not really fun, but interesting. Yeah. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. Thanks for dropping by. I'm going to go figure out food. All right. Goodbye. See you on Monday. We'll work on both games probably on Monday. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, goodbye.